Okay, so I've had these theories in my head for a little while now about the character Radagast, particularly the Radagast from the new Hobbit movies that are still coming out. The second movie is supposed to come out in December, and we've gotten a few sneak peeks at that. There was a clip of Gandalf and Radagast in Dol Guldur looking for the necromancer that came out a while ago, and most recently the teaser trailer for the movie came out. And there's just something about Radagast in both of those that seems very off to me. I'll start with just talking about the character in general, this conception of the character. From what I've seen, and I haven't really been doing a whole lot of research on the reception of these movies so far, but it seems like Radagast is one of the more negatively received characters from these adaptations, and I can understand why. I'm not criticizing anyone for disliking the portrayal of him, because he is very different from how he's described as being in the book. He's very goofy, kind of scatterbrained, cartoon, slapsticky, a comic relief character, I guess, is basically what he is. And some people are really not into that at all. They're not liking at all what the movies have done with him so far. Some are even going so far as to call him the Jar Jar Binks of The Hobbit. And I personally don't think he's that bad, like, not that level of bad. I don't even think he's the worst character in the first Hobbit movie. But I can definitely understand where the criticisms come from, especially if you've read the books. But with that being said, just talking about the clips that have come out recently, the scene with Gandalf, he runs into Radagast inside the crypt, where the necromancer supposedly is hiding out. And just a quick description of that. Basically, Gandalf is wandering around in this really eerie, dark kind of a place. Then he gets to what I guess is the sarcophagus, and he opens it up and something jumps out, and it turns out to be Radagast, who he seems very unaware of where he is at the moment, and Gandalf seems very suspicious about all of this. And that raised some suspicions for me too, because, what are the odds that Radagast would just be hanging around in this place at the same time that Gandalf just happens to wander in, especially after we saw Radagast personally fleeing for his life from this same place. And another thing that's come up recently, the trailer, the teaser trailer, there's one part with Gandalf and Radagast again, and I imagine it would be in that same scene in the movie, where Radagast is saying to Gandalf something about he suspects there might be a trap. What if it's a trap? And then Gandalf kind of says something under his breath to himself about how it definitely is a trap. He's caught on to something there. And if you look at Radagast, he's in the background of the scene. Right after he throws that suggestion out there, he just kind of loses interest immediately and sort of wanders away very nonchalantly. And that doesn't seem compatible with what has been established about him so far. The first movie went to great lengths to establish that he's a very frantic, high-strung character who's, very skittish, and it just seems odd that he doesn't seem to care about the threat of being captured. And then I started to, notice other things in the movies too. Like, the scene in the first movie where the wargs, the orcs on the wolves are coming to chase after the dwarves, and Radagast decides he's going to create a distraction and get the orcs to chase after him while the dwarves get away. Well, that's all fine and good that he does that, and he does it for a while. But then after a while, the orcs, finally catch on to where the dwarves are, and they go after the dwarves, and then we never see Radagast again, ever, in the whole movie. And you'd think, why doesn't, as soon as he realizes that he's not being chased anymore, that the jig is up, why doesn't he turn around and help the other characters? Why does he keep running? I don't know, that might be nitpicky. Like, as far as I know, he probably just never looked back for several hours because he was running so fast, and he's not the kind of guy who would think to check on that. And these have led to a few theories in my head about, what could be really going on with Radagast if he's not what he seems. And some of these theories I don't really hold to anymore, but I figure I should still throw them all out there just to cover all my bases. So the first theory I'm having is that Radagast might be a villain. And, you know, he's actually in league with the dark forces or in league with the necromancer or something to that extent. And, you know, maybe this goofy persona is just an act that he's putting on, you know, to throw people off of his trail. And maybe the reason why he goes to Gandalf and tells him, you know, I found this Morgul blade, and I think there's this necromancer running around in Dol Guldur, you should stop him. I'm wondering if that's all, you know, a ploy to get Gandalf to go to the necromancer and be, you know, dealt with. And there's two reasons why I don't really hold to that theory anymore. That was just the first thing that jumped into my head when I saw these clips. But first one, obvious reason, is that does not happen in any work of Tolkien's. Radagast is just a straight-up good guy. He's one of the Istari. Of course, Saruman was too, but that's beside the point. But the point is, I don't think, as much as Peter Jackson has strayed from the source material in these movies, I don't think he would go that far. Like, I think he would realize that's pushing it, and he doesn't want to go that route. But another reason why I don't think that's the case is because in Radagast's first scene, we see him fighting off the forces of evil. He's, you know, scaring off the giant spiders that have taken over Mirkwood. And the thing with that is, he's alone when he does that. There's nobody around that he has to pretend to be good in front of. So that, you know, would lead you to believe that he is inherently a good character. And that leads to my second theory, which I'm starting to favor more and more, is that he is a good character, but the Radagast that you see on screen is not always Radagast. I'll explain. He has the flashback of telling Gandalf what happened when he found this Morgul blade, and we see this flashback of Radagast fighting off the Witch King, and then the Witch King drops this knife, and he takes that and flees for his life, barely gets out of there alive. But the thing is, we're not actually watching this as it's happening. It's being told to us by, you know, someone who supposedly went through all of this. So it's very possible that that whole story could be fabricated. And I'm thinking that's what the case is. I'm thinking that what really happened was that Radagast went to Dol Guldur and he came across the necromancer, and possibly, this is where the theories start to split, possibly the necromancer knocked him out, you know, threw him in the crypt because he needs Radagast for something still. He doesn't want to kill him just yet. And he took on this disguise as Radagast. So all of Radagast's appearances after his first scene in the first movie are actually the necromancer disguised as him. And again, he's going to Gandalf, trying to trick him into coming to Dol Guldur because there is a trap set up there. And this could all be, you know, part of the necromancer's plot, maybe to do away with the White Council and get rid of these high powers in Middle-earth. Now, another theory, again going with that principle that, you know, the story about Radagast escaping was a lie. Possibly the necromancer is not transforming into him, it actually is Radagast, but he's either possessed or under some sort of unwilling influence of the necromancer, and then it's all pretty much the same scheme from then on. It's just he's working as a puppet instead of being replaced. And then there's another theory, a fourth theory, that maybe both have happened. You know, maybe the Radagast that we see warning Gandalf about the necromancer is the necromancer in disguise, and then the Radagast that Gandalf finds in Dol Guldur, who seems very dazed and out of it, is the real Radagast, because he's been locked up all this time and he's just come to and he has no idea where he is. Like maybe he has, you know, some sort of memory loss or something, or maybe he's under a trance because the necromancer doesn't want him to get away so easily once he wakes up. And then there's a fifth theory, the most likely theory, that maybe I'm just reading too much into this. You know, maybe Radagast just is what he is, and the sideline writer in me is inventing plot lines where they just don't exist. I don't know. But those are my thoughts on this. Let me know what you think. Do you agree that there's going to be a twist with Radagast in the next movie? Do you disagree? Do you have some of your own theories that you want to share? Just leave a comment. Tell me what you think.